When we think about the concept of field, many of us instinctively imagine some kind of invisible substance that exists in space. But in the framework of the energy filament theory, a field is not like a stone, it's far more akin to weather. Consider this: when we talk about wind, we don't ask, what is wind? Instead, we understand that wind is the state of the air, it's the way the atmosphere behaves, where the pressure is high or low, where the wind blows, and how fast it moves. Similarly, in the energy filament theory, a field is not a mysterious object floating in space, but rather the current state of the energy sea at any given time. It describes how this energy sea stretches, vibrates, and arranges itself into various patterns. To better illustrate, think of Earth as a giant balloon. The weather forecast shows us patterns of temperature, air pressure, and wind direction on the surface of this balloon. In the same way, the tension fields and texture fields we talk about are simply the distribution of tight and loose spots, and the way the textures align on the much larger energy sphere that encompasses the universe. Now, let's contrast this with a stone. A stone is a tangible object, something we can physically pick up and hold. In comparison, particles in the universe are more like stone's solid, stable structures that form in the energy sea. However, fields, on the other hand, are like the weather. They are not a single tangible entity but the overall state of the environment. A particle, like a stone, can be pointed to and identified. But when we talk about wind, we can't simply point to a gust and say, it's right here. Wind, like a field, requires a whole map to be understood. We need a weather map, a collection of data that shows us how the air moves, how the pressure shifts, and how the wind flows. Similarly, fields need to be represented by maps or equations to truly capture their dynamic nature. They can't be thought of as a solid mass hanging in the air. Understanding fields as this dynamic, changing, interconnected system of forces gives us a much deeper appreciation of how everything in the universe works. When you begin thinking of fields in this way, it changes how we approach all the mysterious forces at work around us. Instead of thinking of fields as abstract concepts or invisible forces, we started to see them as something real, something that shapes and guides the very structure of our universe. Imagine the entire universe as a sea of energy, constantly in motion, with different parts being stretched or compressed. These different textures define how objects and particles move within this sea, guiding them along paths of least resistance. In this perspective, you can think of the universe as a vast ocean of energy with its own weather patterns. Just like how a gust of wind shapes the movement of air, these fields shape the movement of particles. Every particle, whether it's a photon or an electron, is interacting with the field, being carried along by the underlying weather of the energy sea. The forces of gravity, the electric and magnetic fields, and even quantum fields can all be understood as parts of the overall map of the energy sea. The important shift in thinking here is that fields are not separate entities, nor are they some mystical force hanging in the air. They are the behavior of the energy sea itself. It's like asking what makes the wind blow. The answer is the dynamics of the atmosphere. Similarly, the forces we call fields are just the dynamic patterns of the energy sea, its tension, its texture, and how it's being shaped. So, when you hear terms like gravitational field or electromagnetic field, instead of imagining invisible lines or forces, think of them as part of the dynamic map of the universe's energy sea. As you start to understand this, it becomes clear, what we call forces are simply the effects of the universe's underlying energy sea. Gravity, magnetism, light, they are not mysterious, invisible phenomena, but manifestations of this constantly changing sea. Fields govern the behavior of particles just like the wind moves the leaves on a tree. In this view, everything in the universe, from galaxies to subatomic particles, is simply following the paths laid out by the energy sea's weather patterns. The next time you hear about a field, think not of something floating in space but of a vast ocean, its current shaping everything it touches. By understanding the energy sea and its fields in this way, you'll start to see how the forces we often take for granted are actually part of a larger, much more elegant systems that governs the universe. Follow, Share it on New Physics, Clear Universe.